Now, I'm not one to gossip, but I will bring you the tea. Welcome to Chronicle Speaks.
Please, I don't have any time for any gossip now. Eh? Yes.
Look at you.
At this point, I'm scared I'm going to lose count, but we are officially at day number 22 of the Sean P. Diddy Combs trial. But let's first recap day number 21. Now, the courtroom picked back up with Jane on the stand, getting grilled by Diddy's defense attorney, Teeny Garagos. Now, a key point of contention, well, there were messages that Jane sent that seemed affectionate towards Combs, including lines like, "I wanted diamonds," and "You're the reason for my child's joy." Garagos used these texts to challenge Jane's claims, suggesting she wasn't clear about whether her discomfort stemmed solely from Diddy or also included other men. But Jane stood firm. She was talking about Combs. Now, we also got insight on their complicated relationship. Jane admitted she cared deeply for Combs, even crying on the stand when reading old messages aloud. Now, she said she was unable to say no to him, and the hotel nights, as she called them, made him feel at peace. At one point, she testified she felt resentment because of how much she loved him and how he used that love to manipulate her. Jane testified that after a particularly dark time, including a non-drug-fueled sobriety party, she tried to break up with Diddy, yet she still ended up staying over at his home, with video evidence showing them laughing and embracing shortly after. Diddy's behavior was also under the spotlight outside of the testimony. He was seen in court holding up a self-help book called The Magic of Believing, which he's reportedly reading along with other books since his September arrest. Meanwhile, in the gallery, Diddy's mom, sister, and sons are present, and the jury followed the proceeding closely, although the prosecution is trying to get rid of juror number 6. As for the trial timeline, prosecutors are expecting more witnesses to testify after Jane, and they expect to rest their case sometime next week, between Wednesday or Friday at the latest. So we're going to get into trial day number 22, but before we do, please be sure to subscribe to this channel and hit the bell for notifications so you don't miss out on any news regarding this case and so much more. Now let's get back into it. So to start the day off, before the jury is brought in, the judge says the messages at issue that the defense wants to get in, can't you redact them? Combs' Garagos says, we shouldn't have to. It's consistent with our theory. They open. Judge says they didn't open the door. Comey said, on direct, we elicited testimony about the end of the relationship in 2024. There were no texts but oral communication. This self-serving voice note by the defendant should not come in. By December 2023, he was trying to make a record for litigation. So defense attorney Teeny Garagos sought to play for the jury an audio message from Sean P. Diddy Combs that he sent to Jane. Assistant U.S. Attorney Maureen Comey argued that by December 2023, after Cassie Ventura's lawsuit became public, Combs was aware of the record he was creating in the communications with Jane and may have been crafting a self-serving false narrative in the recording. Judge Arun Subramanian ruled that the recording cannot be admitted, but Garagos may ask Jane what Combs told her about his awareness of her feelings regarding hotel nights in December 2023. The judge says, let's have a brief discussion in the robing room with Jane and Jane's counsel. Teeny Garagos says, can I come too? Of course, says judge. Now the question is about the hit list of publications Jane's counsel said she would submit, but it's not currently in the docket. Counsel, including Jane, are still in the robing room with the judge. Now, Sean Combs has been taken by the marshals back to his holding cell. We continue to wait. So counsel are all back from the robing room. Now, Agnifilo, Shapiro, and Steele huddle around Combs, talking to him. At 10:08, Xavier Donaldson goes in the huddle to the back table to talk with Combs. Meanwhile, Agnifilo is in the front talking with Comey. Jane is still not on the witness stand. Now, defense attorney Nicole Westmoreland is also with Combs. He is now surrounded by 5 or 6 of his attorneys. He is talking with gestures using his hands. Now, at 9:29, Combs is speaking one-on-one with Westmoreland as Driscoll and Xavier Donaldson stand between the tables. This all began before 10 o'clock a.m., more than half an hour now. At 10:40, judge says, Ms. Garagos, are you ready to proceed? Agnifilo says, he had this discussion in the back. Mr. Combs was not present. I would like to lodge this objection. We litigated this over pseudonyms. Judge said, let's take a step back. Judge continues, I can clear this courtroom if need be. No need, says Ignifilo. I will conform my comments in an open court. A reason trials and names are public is so people who are there can come forward. We objected to a pseudonym with Mia, now this. Ignifilo continues, the events in the hotel room on January 24th, 2024, I appreciate the balancing, but we maintain the constitutional right to a fully public trial remains. We didn't consent to these events, should be not fully public. Then he continues, part of the public nature of the trial is for the information to reach the public so other witnesses can come forward. I wanted my client to hear this. Ms. Comey, says the judge, as long as your answer remains no, we are fine. Comey continues, their argument to say the name is an attempt to harass. The judge says, and this event in the hotel is not one of the alleged acts of sex trafficking. It's just collateral. It's not a real concern. Comey continues, the identity of those there is not a defense. And finally, all rise. Jurors, I apologize for how long this took. We did things to save you time. Jane, you are still under oath. Proceed, Ms. Garagos. Garagos says, good morning. Let's look at your messages where you said, I feel as your lover, I wanted to please you. Push through. What you really wanted was to cuddle with Mr. Combs? Yes, our intimate time. Tell me about the mobile TV you got him. It was an LG cordless. You could move it around and see movies on it? Yes. After Cassie's lawsuit went public, how were things? I came to find out another woman had already had the same experience as I had. I put out that energy on him and he was already down. So resentment, everything was hard. A hard month? Yes. Let's play the voice note. The voice note of Combs is playing. I don't want to be in a relationship like this. I don't want to make anyone feel like this. Let's end this cycle so you don't feel like I wasted your life. Did Sean say to you, I'm a solutions person. I just want solutions. Yes. You wrote, I tolerated. I took on a lot of those rooms. Please don't discredit me. And he wrote, never discredit you. Yes. Sean's message continues. What do you want me to do to make you feel better? How can we get to a solution so we can move on? I don't want to make nobody feel like this. Are there more messages like this? Yes. Jane said that this time was difficult for the both of them. We were both equally pulled in our own emotional battlefields like every which way. She said she had hit a bit of a wall in the relationship and there was a lot for her to wrap her head around, and she was expressing her feelings to him while he was simultaneously under fire for a lot of other things. Jane confirmed that around this time, Combs told her that he was not aware of how she had been feeling. She testified that he said that he was sorry that she felt that way and did not want her to feel like that anymore. At the time, you believed him, right? Yes, I did. From that period on, Jane said Combs started encouraging her to be more communicative to him. You wrote that you wanted $100,000 for each wasted year and more, $450,000. You wrote this, right? Yes. And you said you were thinking of hurting yourself and he said, don't. He cared. I don't know about that. You said you didn't have friends at the time. Objection, says Comey. I can rephrase, says Garagos. You said you talked about your feelings with Sean because you didn't have other people. Okay. Still Sean paid your rent? Yes. And the $9,000 from Bear, you had known him from your modeling days? Yes. Did you have to do any work for the $9,000? No. The rapper you mentioned, he was a close friend of Mr. Combs? Yes. Now, Garagos is currently revisiting the January 2024 Las Vegas trip that Jane confirmed she went on with a friend and they flew in a rapper's private jet. She said that Combs was unaware of the trip because they were currently on a break during that time. Now, Garagos asked if the rapper was an icon in the music industry and if he was very close to Combs, and Jane agreed. She confirmed the trip was for the birthday of the rapper's girlfriend or wife. Now, Jane testified that she and Sean Combs both knew that before January 2024, the entertainer Antoine, whom she and Combs hired for hotel nights, would also travel to spend time with the rapper and the rapper's significant other. Antoine had told Jane and Combs about this, she said. Now, Jane said she was a little bit surprised to see Antoine at the birthday dinner, but no one asked how they knew each other. Later that night, 7 or 8 people were in the hotel room watching Antoine have sex with the woman on the bed. The rapper, who Jane said she knew from afar, flirted with Jane in the hotel room, and he said something like he thought she was beautiful and always wanted to blank her. Jane also confirmed when asked that at some point she flashed her breasts around the group in the hotel room. She said it was an in-the-moment thing. Okay, the questioning continues with Garagos asking, how did you bring up Cabral or Sly? They asked if I knew anyone else in the lifestyle. I said yes. At the time, I thought Cabral as a safe and confidential person. That was for the rapper rapper and his partner? Yes. How did they know to ask you? Maybe they just picked up the energy or heard that Sean and I were into the lifestyle. You flew to Miami around the time of your birthday? Yes. He set up a grandiose birthday for you? Yes. There were candles in the walkway? Yes. It was very romantic. His heart was beating. Okay, and your heart was beating as well? Yes. I was just about to say that. It's all painted pink and silver, all 5-course dinner. What I wanted from my lover. No ecstasy at the dinner? No, none. Afterwards, you took a pill and he took a pill and Don came over. Yes, at 1 star. You said you were willing to have sex with Don just because of your birthday party? Yes, it was nice. Okay, this message is between you and Paul Arthur, in which you asked, do you have plans for Valentine's Day? Right. You said you wanted to see Paul as a person? Yes. You said after Cassie's lawsuit, you saw changes in Sean? Yes. You said Sean would write to you, I'm single, I'm polyamorous, and that hurt you? Yes. After the lawsuit, he went to saying, we're in a relationship, you're my girlfriend. That meant a lot to you? It did. When you saw Combs laying hands on Cassie, you felt sick? I did. That was not the man that you knew, right? Right? Garagos asked if Combs tried to get into a program to address his actions in the video, and Jane said she does recall that. Prosecutors objected when Garagos suggested that the program didn't accept him. The attorneys then went to a sidebar with the judge. Okay, and now they're back. Garagos said you remained in contact with Mr. Combs after the video. Yes. You stayed in Miami with him for a few days, then left? I did. He flew to LA in June with his children? Yes. Fair to see Mr. Combs posted about this road trip with his children on social media, right? Yes. This is a photo of how you set up the house. Some set up by you, some by Jonathan. Yes. And this is a huge bottle of Clicquot, right? Yes. Now, Garagos mentions that this is twice the size of a regular champagne bottle. And this is a photo on the patio, right? Yes. You were drinking champagne? Yes. Now it's 8:30 p.m. Already dark outside. Tequila shots, but no ecstasy, right? Right. Jonathan brought candles? Yes. Play the video, says Garagos. Music and voice of Combs. Championship Boston Celtics. Garagos says half an hour later you were fighting, right? Yes. You testify you called him a PEDO even though you knew she was not underage? Right. You then pushed his head into a marble counter? Yes, I did. You never had a physical altercation with him, right? I had not. You pushed him medium hard? Yes. And after you threw a candle at him? Yes. When you said you locked the door, was it a button? Yes. So he did not force a physical lock, but a button lock? Yes. What was he saying? That I'm crazy? A lot of yelling? You go in the closet? Yes. You take your working out very seriously, right? Yes. But you did not put on activewear. You'd rather put on a dress? Why? Because I could put it on easily. Now, Jane estimates that by the time the argument began, they had already consumed 2 shots of tequila and at least 2 glasses of champagne. Jane confirmed that the woman they were arguing about lived in Miami and was able to spend more time with Combs because of her proximity. She also confirmed that she and Combs had argued about this woman before. She said, I think it was just a ball of emotion that night. There was a lot of just resentment for many things. She confirmed that she called Combs a PEDO even though the woman was not underage, and she also called him disgusting and a monster. When she felt like the fight was escalated, she then went in her bedroom, locking the door. Defense attorney Tina Garagos asked Jane to confirm that Combs had not touched her at this point, but just kept saying, are you just not going to talk to me? When he kicked open the master door, she locked herself into the master bathroom. She yelled at this point that she hated him and she wanted him to leave and just to leave her alone. Jane recalled Combs saying that she was crazy and it was just a lot of yelling, and he kept saying, you're just going to act like you're not going to talk to me. She states that Combs then kicked in the bathroom door, causing her to retreat to the closet, and once inside the closet, she put on something more comfortable so she could try to escape. Garagos said, you take working out pretty seriously, right? Yes. But you did not put on activewear, but rather a dress? Why? Because I could put it on easily. After the altercation, you ran and hid behind the wall. Where was your phone? In the house. When you went back, you saw Mr. Combs? Yes, he was out on the street. This had been for hours? It had. You were angry and screaming, called him a PEDO? Yes, I called him a monster, but he didn't kick you again. He didn't. You punched him in the back of the head and he punched you? He punched me twice. Okay, judge says time for a break. Right after he said that, judge said, I'd like lead counsel and counsel to Jane to come to the robing room, please. Ignifilo said, I'd like to do this in the presence of Mr. Combs. Comey said, if this is about the issue we discussed in the robing room, we have concerns. Judge says, okay, sidebar. At 12:48, they are back from sidebar. Judge says, I'm just going to break for lunch. There is nothing to put on the record here. Okay, so now they're back, but before the arguments, before the jury comes back in, there's headphones that are being set up in the jury box, and the defense wants to play them something that's sealed at the end of their cross-examination of Jane. Combs is sitting surrounded by half a dozen of his lawyers. Okay, judge says, I understand the government says we can break earlier tomorrow, so do we have to deal with any of the evidentiary issues now? Let's just finish Jane's testimony, bring the witness and the jury back. All rise. Garrigo says, while you fought, Mr. Combs was yelling, you're trying to get me to never see my kids again, right? Yes. You said he was dragging you by your hair, right? Yes. I was telling him to stop. You got his phone? Yes. And you called the woman in Miami? Yes. You asked her, did you go to the Grand Canyon with him? I'm asking you woman to woman.
Barbara, this is Shirley. So woman to woman.
Yes. And she said, you're worrying about the wrong thing. Woman to woman? Yes. I told her, girl, he beating my ass. Then Sean hung up the phone and she called back multiple times. Phone lit up. Did she call you a bitch? Yes. Did you talk about her previous relationships? Maybe. Then after you called Jonathan, you were in the shower naked, but Mr. Combs was in pants, shorts, and you called him a son of a bitch? Just a bitch. Okay, just a bitch. Then you slapped him? Yes, hard. Then he tells you to put on an outfit? Yes. And he grabs your phone. He went to the messages and he said hi to Anton in the thread. It's about the night in January where you went to Las Vegas? Yes. How far is it from your home in the gated community to the gate? A minute or two. So like half a mile? Yes, I drove and let Anton in. Jane said it was nothing at the time. She slipped into sweatpants and drove her car to let Anton into the gated community. Jane testified that she, Combs, and the entertainer made small talk before heading to the bedroom. She said Combs then gave her a look and pulled her aside into the guest bedroom. Combs demanded that Jane explain what Anton meant by mutual friend in a text message because as far as Combs knew, Jane and the entertainer did not have mutual friends. Jane then told Combs about the January Las Vegas trip with the rapper, which led to a hotel room encounter where she saw Anton have sex with a woman. She said she did not tell Combs about the brief moment from that night or that she had given the rapper Sly, another entertainer's number. Just confirmed that Combs was outraged, saying, how could you go to another man's freak off? Let's continue. Champagne and tequila, but still no drugs? Yes. You and Sean go into the bedroom. You told him you went to Vegas? Yes. You told him you flashed your breasts? Not then. You told him you referred Carol to the other rapper? Not yet. Did Mr. Combs tell you, how could you go to another man's freak off? Yes, he yelled that. Then you said Sean told you, go out and F him. And you said no. I said no. Then he pushed a pill in your face? But you didn't have sex with Anton? Not that kind of sex. You gave Anton oral sex? Yes. Then Sean dismissed him and told Anton you'd send him money later. I did. This was the first time you didn't have an intimate moment with your partner after the entertainer left? Yes. And he said again, I can't believe you went to another man's freak off. Yes. Talking about the rapper? Yes. He just kept saying, how could you go to another rapper's freak off? Yes. After that, you called and texted each other? Yes. You went to see him and broke up? We had 8 or 9 hours of breakup conversation. You saw him traveling with another woman in Wyoming and that upset you? I was at home with a black eye. Yes. You hadn't had forced intercourse with Anton? No, it was forced oral sex. Okay, play a video. This is not for the public to hear. The jury has on headphones. No one else can hear a thing. Gergo said, I will read his response. Mr. Combs says, I'm not going to belittle myself for someone named Bear or my friend. That means the rapper, right? Yes. Mr. Combs also says, sorry I didn't take you on trips. I was tripping. The baby daddy, you and KK would have talked yourself into paranoia. You didn't get along with KK? I didn't. Put on the headphone and press play. Court staffer hands Jane headphones and they restart. Combs is leaning over listening to the same headphones as Ignifilo. Garrigo says, pause there. You bring up OnlyFans there. You've been on it for 4 to 5 months, earning well? Yes. You asked him why he couldn't balance it. Hotel nights and private travel? Right. You wrote, did the other girls just pressure you for more trips and I didn't? I just want to know where I went wrong. Mr. Combs says, that was my friend. I was okay. Where should we stop? Now press play and stop. No sound in the public gallery. You said we broke up and I went to one birthday party, not with the rapper, but with my friend. You wrote, I don't even have anything postable. You meant to Instagram? I did. You wrote about your child's father. You said, I'm in my late 30s. I don't have time. Play more video. The last part, that's about your child's father? Yes. You wrote, I just wanted to travel with you. Yes. You sent the clown emoji and said, if I F more, I could have had more trips. Then you went to Miami and stayed at the Four Seasons. You chose that hotel, right? Yes. You took DRUGS and laughed and danced. Yes. You were finally getting the princess treatment you wanted. Yes. Then you told Mr. Combs that you really missed Paul. I had taken ecstasy, but I did miss Paul. Yes. You called Paul and he came in a few days. You were at 2-Star, right? Yes. And it felt good. A love fest? Yes. On June 1st of this year, you had a new memory of Mr. Combs splashing water on you, right? If I may explain, did you tell the government that on June 1st? Yes. So let's explain the water splash and the Paul visit. So she had previously testified at one point during the Miami trip that she told Combs she was tired and wanted to go to sleep. She said he got agitated, splashed water on her, and called her a bitch, and then he apologized. Now, defense attorney Teeny Garagos asked Jane if she had first told prosecutors that story on June 1st, just a few days after she had begun her testimony. Jane agreed, and she said that it was a new memory. Now, she confirmed that at one point at the hotel, she told Combs she missed Paul, one of the men that often joined the two in the hotel nights. Jane testified that she had taken ecstasy when she said that, but she did genuinely miss Paul at the moment. She ended up calling Paul, who said he'd meet them in Miami for a few days. Jane confirmed that she had sex with Paul a few days later at Combs' Miami home when she took a different type of DRUG. Garagos asked if Jane felt in control and if it was a great sexual experience, and Jane agreed. Jane also confirmed that she described that night to prosecutors as a love fest. Jane testified that they ended the Miami trip with a fight about another woman, but they continued talking. Why did you call yourself Kobe, Jordan, and Shaq? Why are you Kobe? Because I'm the best. And why is he Jordan? Because he's the best. And this about Pamela Anderson? Melons? Garagos laughs. What do you say? I wrote, you are definitely my Michael Jordan and I am Kobe. Detox weekend. You say, good morning, handsome. And he says, can you please find a therapist? Yes, we loved each other, but there was toxic stuff. Defense attorney Garagos asked Jane to confirm that she saw Combs one more time in Miami in August 2024 before his September 2024 arrest, and that trip ended on a positive note. She said it was okay, but she confirmed that she told the defense in a pretrial meeting that the trip ended on a positive note. No further questions. Redirect. Comey says sidebar. Judge says yes. Now, according to NBC, during a break, Combs grabbed a handful of tissues and dabbed an eye before walking out of the courtroom. It wasn't immediately clear if the defendant was briefly overcome by courtroom drama or more natural irritant. Now they're in the sidebar. Judge says, jurors, you may have a comfort break and avoid the white noise. Comey says the cross argued that this witness had a motive to lie. It opens the door to that one sentence I've been asking for as a prior consistent statement. Judge says, how does this go to an event months later? Comey says it's on their point that Jane is shading their testimony to correspond with the government's theory that she was coerced. Comey says Jane testified on the stand for days after getting immunity. She didn't try to get a payday, but they may think she is trying to shade her testimony to please the prosecutors. Driscoll from Combs' side says it's hearsay. There's a fringe theory. Judge says, Miss Comey, how long do you anticipate your redirect? Comey says half an hour. Judge says, let's take a break first. Shapiro says, Your Honor, may I? But the judge is already gone.
When we go on break, that's just what the fuck we do. We break.
Now, before Jane's last round of questions, the lawyers once again debated whether a note she wrote on her phone in late 2023 can go into evidence. In that note, she says, I felt obligated 98% of the time. She wrote in reference to her freak-offs or hotel nights with Sean Combs and other men that he wanted her to have sex with. The defense has argued that the evidence is not admissible. Maureen Comey from the prosecution's office contends that the note has extraordinary probative value and is necessary to counter the defense's suggestion that during Jane's cross-examination, she was trying to shade her testimony to please the prosecution. Okay, so they're back. Judge says, defense, in what way did Jane's lawsuit constitute the type of influence as in the Tomei case? Okay, so in that particular case that they're referencing is Tomei versus the United States, 1995, ruled that a prior consistent statement can only be used to rebut a claim of fabrication if it was made before the motive to lie arose. The Supreme Court clarified this under Federal Rule of Evidence 801 D1B to limit hearsay and ensure fairness in trials. Driscoll from Combs' side says she could still file a lawsuit. Judge says the application to admit the exhibit we have been discussing is denied. The government has not brought forward any authority on this. Jane then re-enters and the jurors file in. Comey says G101, page 6 and 7. Pull them up. Can we zoom in? What did Sean write to Paul? He wrote, I'm going to need you to persuade her. Have you seen this before? No. What did you write to Paul about Turks? I need a robot, just a mix of tired, hungry, sore. Next, to insult me about the bracelet, to make me perform. It crushed me. What else did you write? In that room, I felt like a hoe. Then what? The love contract. He's so good to shower me with affection, with violating sex exploitation in between. I could compartmentalize the bad stuff. In May of 2021, did you ask for a rubber? Yes, Sean resisted, but then gave in. But then the next time, he mocked him. Did Sean let you use the rubber? Yes. Did you ever want to have sex with Cabral? No. Did you fake orgasms with entertainers? Yes, I was putting on a show for Sean. According to Jane, she felt overwhelmed and not human after 24 hours of a hotel night. According to Jane, she had wrote to Paul that Combs didn't make her feel like a human being. Jane also wrote, it had been 24 hours with no breaks for me, and at first I was going with the flow for the second link up, but I had warned him that I just felt overwhelmed to overperform for a moment I've never done before. Comey asked why Jane sent Combs affectionate messages about Turks if it was so disappointing. Jane testified there was a confusing cycle of Combs showering her with love and affection with all the sexual exploitation in between. When did Sean threaten to release videos of you? December 2023. I called KK. Sean's DRUG use. How did you send cues that you were tired? Make little faces, kind of sigh. How did Sean respond? Push through. One more round. How did you try to avoid setting up hotel nights? I try to navigate the night to something else. How many times did you have hotel nights on 200 Mapleton? Once. 2-star? 3 times. 1-star? 1 or 2 times. I felt it was unfair, all of the pressure. What do you mean? Those nights with other men? Then she starts to sob. I was asking, why do I have to break my boundaries and still you treat me like this? What's this text? The All-Star Fantasy Play? What did you send Sean? A photo of a red-colored feminine product that belonged to her. Can't tell you what it is because I'm not trying to get strike down. What did you write? I got childcare and said, you pick. Then everything went left. I said, I just got my period. I handled first school week. In 2023, did you become more vocal about wanting to stop the hotel nights? Yes, he started paying my rent. I had to maintain my livelihood. My partner was in charge now. By the sobriety party, how many times did he threaten your rent? Many times. Jane testified that the time of the sobriety party in October 2023, Combs had been paying her rent for several months. She said in the months before the sobriety party, Combs would often bring up her rent in the context of hotel nights and had threatened to stop paying her rent in all different types of ways. Maureen Comey revisited several text messages that Jane sent Combs the day before the sobriety party in October 2023. Some of the messages said, I don't want to be mistreated. I don't feel like performing loveless, cold sex. I'm not a peace star. I'm not an animal. I need a break. I don't want to do anything. I've hit a wall. It's been 3 years of me having to FUCK strangers. I'm tired. Sex is sacred to me and I can't be used like this anymore. I just wanted to make you happy, but it's creating a war inside of me. I need a break. I can't be in another hotel room doing DRUGS and performing exhausting sex for days. The time after you threw up, what did Sean do? He told me to go back out there and have sex with another man. Was Sean affectionate with you when Anton was in the room? No, Sean was evil. What did Sean say when he gave you the ecstasy pill? He said, you're not going to ruin my night. Go SUCK some DICK. Go FUCK him. How long before that had he put you in a CHOKE hold? Garrigo says, objection. Sustained. Did he choke you with his hands or his arms? Arm. Comey asked Jane about her injuries from the altercation. Jane recounted that she had a black eye forming, a bruise on her leg, and 3 welts on her head. How do you compare your strength to Sean? Comey asked. I don't. And in the shower, how hard did he hit you? So hard. Then what did he say? He said, get in the effing outfit. When you hid for those 2 hours, could Sean have left safely? Yes. Did you want to have sex with Anton that night? No. Who made you? Sean. Would you give all the money back for no sex with other men? Yes. Why are you here? I got subpoenaed and I'm here. No further questions. Miss Garagos, recross. Garagos said, did you drive to pick up Anton? Yes. Could you have left? Yes. The only time that nothing sexual happened between you and Anton was January 2024, right? Right. Anton drove his car into your compound? Yes. And you let him in? Yes, as requested. You lift heavy weights? Yes, but a woman's power does not override a man's. Did you hit Sean's head against the counter? Yes. And you'd seen the Intercontinental video? Yes. Did you refer Cabral to another rapper in January 2024? Yes. You were asked if you would give up the money to not have had sex with these men, but you wouldn't give up your home, would you? My child and I live there. It's hard. You get $5,000 a month in child support? Yes. Your child's father is a very rich man, right? Yes. Did Mr. Combs over 3 years wire you $150,000? Is that all 3 years of mine is worth? You believe you are worth more than $150,000? Does he? What's the most you've made in 1 month on OnlyFans? $50,000, but it varies. You would say that you're hungry to indicate that you didn't want to have sex, right? Yes. Did Mr. Combs ever give you food? He knew what I meant. Did he give you food? Yes. Did you tell Cabral the sex with him had been great? Yes. You got Mr. Combs a mobile TV to show videos of you having sex with entertainers, so I wouldn't have to have sex with other men. Yes. Sometimes you just watch the videos, so no sex with other men. All of it was shit. But did you? Judge says, Jane, if you can, just answer the question. Yes. What did you see preparing for this? My truth. Did you see records of times you did not have hotel nights? Lucky me. But there were such times? Thank God. How did seeing what Sean wrote to Mr. Paul make you feel? How would it make you feel? Please answer my question. Now that I've seen Sean's messages to Paul, probably I did have a hotel night. You're changing your testimony? No further questions. Redirect, says Judge. What violence had Sean done to you before he asked you to pick up Anton? Objection, says Garagos. Overruled. He slapped me. No further questions. Judge says, thank you, Jane. Jane leaves. Jurors, you may leave. The jurors leave. Prosecutor Slavic says we need rulings to make Ms. Sanker's summary charts. Judge says I have a letter from yesterday. Mind you, this is not in the docket. What I need to do is hear from you. What do you think about everything happening with Jane? Leave a comment and you know how we do. We'll talk about it down below. Talk to you guys later. Bye. Thanks for watching, but before you go, don't forget to subscribe to this channel, like this video, and hit the bell so you don't miss out on any of my new episodes.